You guys can hear us on?
Yes, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, perfect.
I'm gonna move you guys to gallery view, so it's gonna be better. There you go. Oh, that looks great.
All right.
Yeah. All right, and we're ready to, what, 1 second, let me add the waiting room in. All right, we're ready.
All righty. We're now ready to call this meeting to order. Under the Ralph M. Brown Act for teleconferencing, we'll announce that board member Annabelle Cephas is teleconferencing from 1370 Palms Boulevard, Venice, California, 90291, and board member Edward Palat is teleconferencing from 450 10th Street, Astoria. Is that Oregon? Yes.
Director Palat was not able to make it to that location.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm unfortunately not at that location right now, so I was told that I can participate in discussion, but I am not allowed to vote on this meeting agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Can I
technically be absent.
already? Sounds alrighty. Per government code 54953B, the agenda has been posted at the stated location for 72 hours prior to this meeting, and the location provides the opportunity for public members to address the board. All votes during this meeting will be roll call votes. Alrighty. With that, our call to order and our announcement that the meeting is being recorded, can I please get a roll call for attendance?
Director Carmichael?
Here.
Director Hobart?
Here.
Director Brandt? Here. Deschler?
Here.
Cephas?
Here.
Top. Director Palat's technically absent.
Alrighty. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place, Anaskoyo, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. We can get a someone to for consent agenda. Consent agenda. Very motion.
I'll move the consent agenda.
I'll second. Perfect. Can we get a roll call for the consent agenda?
Yes. Director Carmichael?
Yes.
Director Hobart?
Yes.
Brandt?
Yes.
Deschler?
Yes.
Cephas?
Yes.
Top.
Yes. Wonderful. Moving on to public comment period. At this time, any member of the public may speak on matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board of directors that are not on the agenda. The board will not take action on any item not on the agenda except as provided by law. Wonderful. Public comment?
Yeah. Evening. My name is Jesse. I'm here once again to talk about something this district doesn't have, any written policy for handling a complaint about its own leadership. I'd like you to think about that once again for a moment. IVCSD has been collecting tax revenues since 2018. It has a policy manual, it has a constituent response policy, a conflict of interest policy, rules about committees and parking and social media. But if a member of the public reports misconduct by a board member or the general manager, there's no procedure. There's none. No requirement to acknowledge the complaint, there's no timeline, no reference number, no independent review, nothing. That's not a hypothetical gap. It was tested in 2025 and it failed. A community member reported a concern about a sitting director. The district said nothing. The director's private attorney threatened him for contacting IVCSD. The district's own counsel coordinated with that attorney, and when he filed a public records request about what happened, an official at the center of the complaint decided what to withhold. At every step, the absence of policy meant that the people involved in the problem were the people managing the response to the problem, which is not how accountability works. What's being asked for is straightforward. 5 policies. First, a complaint acknowledgement policy. Written confirmation within 5 business days and a reference number. Second, an independent review procedure for complaints involving board members or the GM. Referred to outside counsel or county counsel, not handled by staff who report to the subject of the complaint. Third, a council conflict policy. When district council has a relationship with a party whose interests conflict with the district's, retain independent counsel. Fourth, a PRA conflict procedure. When a records request concerns the GM or council's own conduct, exemption decisions should be made by an independent party. Fifth, external whistleblower protections. A clear prohibition on coordinating with private parties to discourage good faith reports. These are standard governance practices. Most public agencies have them. This one doesn't yet, and someone was harmed because of it. Please fix these policies before someone else gets hurt. This statement was already read at IVCSD's June 9th meeting, where the board indicated an interest in following up. However, nothing has changed. The community member still hasn't received so much as a written acknowledgement of this complaint. My time here tonight was paid for by this individual who was threatened for contacting IVCSD. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand.
Wonderful. Seeing no more public comment, we will close the public comment period. Moving on to discussion and action items. Item 4.1, introduction of IVCSD's, we're skipping that one, yes?
Yes, Nico is not able to make it today, so it's been a busy last week with the move out sale.
Yes,
It's crazy.
move out's been quite hectic this year, so we can move to item 4.2, public hearing on a utility user tax measure and appropriations limit. Shall I
Okay.
read this statement?
Yes, read the
Yes.
statement out, yeah.
The board will consider approval of Resolution 2621, Resolution 2622, or Resolution 2623. Resolution 2621 is a proposal to submit to the voters a 6% utility users tax to fund local services and infrastructure in Isla Vista and a 3.5 million appropriations limit measure. Appropriations 2622 is a proposal to submit to the voters a 6.5 residential utility users tax and a 3% commercial tax, also to fund local services and infrastructure, and a 3.5 million appropriations limit measure. Resolution 2623 is a proposal to submit to the voters a 7% utility users tax on residential electricity, water, trash, and 1.5% on the same for commercial, and a 9% on residential methane and 3% of commercial methane, also to fund local services and infrastructure in Isla Vista, and a 3.5 million appropriations limit measure.
So we have a short presentation for you guys just to prime the discussion. So what we're considering today is the increased Isla Vista Municipal Infrastructure and Services measure. There's 3 versions of it, but that is the title of the measure regardless of the version that's being proposed. And so your recommended action is to approve one of these resolutions and make any amendments to them as you'd like. There's 3 resolutions. So while they're different, there's a lot of similarities between them.
Excuse me, do we have this?
No. So there's 3 resolutions. What are they for is the same on all of them pretty much. And there's transportation is one of the new powers that's added to this one, as well as the potential new security power. The housing services did not make it into the 26-23 resolution because of word count issues. All the resolutions allow the board to create exemptions to the tax in the future, which is the same as Measure R, our current tax. All 3 raise around $1.2 million, which was what the board's goal was from the retreat. All 3 make our GAN limit 3.5 million, which is not, new taxes or new spending. It's just how much we're allowed to spend in a year with the money we raise. And then just clarifying that all of these are a new tax, not an increase of Measure R. Measure R is its own tax approved by the voters, and this is going to be its own tax approved by the voters, but it could go towards similar things or the same things as Measure R. And then the options you have between these 3 resolutions are the first one, 26-21, which is no variable, 6% on all utilities between residential and commercial. The second option is 26-22, which is 1 rate on all residential utilities and another rate on the commercial utilities. And then the third option is 26-23, which is 1 rate on residential methane, 1 rate on commercial methane, 1 rate on residential other utilities, and 1 rate on the other commercial utilities. So these were the 3 options the board asked for at the retreat. And the differences in the ballot question between them is that, 26-21, you'll see in the question, it's a longer description because the tax mechanism part of it is shorter versus the 26-23. The tax mechanism part is long. And so the what to fund is shorter. They do lead essentially to the same result. It's just one is more description for the voters than the other, but the outcome is the same for the most part, what can be funded. The only difference, like I said, is 26-23, we could not get the word housing services in there, but we could get everything else in. So yeah, that's what the board is here to debate and discuss. So you know at least that the three resolutions will raise the same amount, will go towards generally the same things. It's just a policy decision for the board on how which of these options you want to choose in terms of the variable rates on utilities and users.
Thank you. Before we begin discussion, do you have any public comments, hands on Zoom?
No.
Okay. Seeing no public comment either in person here, we'll close that board discussion. Any board members have questions? Question items to start off with. All right, I can start it off here. So we're talking about this a lot at the retreat, but we have it all written out now. As I said, you know, in the retreat, I do have a preference for having a higher tax on methane. And don't you have anything in here? Yeah, sorry, I was just going over these numbers one more time. Yeah, having a higher rate on methane for the environmental and safety reasons, so we can kind of put our money where our mouth is and support the good environmental policy for that.
I will kind of just share my thoughts on this. Thank you, Jonathan, for all the work putting all these together. I thank you, Jamie, as well, for helping make sure that we can do it in a legal way. When I think about how to design a measure, I think about a couple of things. First and foremost, something that's fair to residents. I think about the feedback that we've gotten from residents that they want more services. They want the opportunity to generate revenue that can be used only here locally for local purposes. And so I think it's really important that as we think about that, we remember that whatever scenario we choose, we're talking about the cost of a latte at Kage.
Yeah.
One latte at Kage per month. And I think that we've done a lot of the hard work by making that decision, by putting the target of how much we're going to ask the voters to approve. And now the question is just how to divide it in the way that supports equity, that supports our community's values. And so I agree, have the same opinion that I think that the differential rates approach is the best approach. I think that with the numbers that are there, you know, I'm open to thinking a little bit more about how to make it as equitable as possible, because I think we really had a great discussion about affordability at the meeting that we had last Monday or 2 Mondays ago. And I think that it would even make sense for us to ask our commercial businesses to pay a little bit more than what is proposed, so that our residents can pay a little bit less than what is proposed on the non-methane utilities, which would kind of be my idea for kind of a compromise of all approaches that are kind of.
Yeah.
When you're saying the change to commercial for non-methane, so you're saying you would prefer to have methane stay at 9% and lower the tax rate of non-methane for residential and slightly increase the commercial?
What I'm saying is, when I say lower, I mean based on what's proposed in 26-23. So right now it's the 9% methane, 7% from all others for residential. I would say consider doing a 9% methane, but then a 6%, so that it's in line with what's in the flat tax. And then to make up that revenue, go to just a 4% flat for all of the utilities for commercial. So that, you know, I think it's fair that we ask them to do a little bit more than what is proposed in that sort of structure.
Yeah,
When we discussed having differential rates for residential and commercial, we talked about possibly a very unfair burden on commercial. And I'm wondering, were you able to find out at all, like what an average commercial utility bill is? So we don't really know what kind of relief we're giving with this differential approach.
I don't have any research on that. I mean, we know that there's 60 businesses in Isla Vista, and that the businesses, generate around 300,000 to 400,000 of the tax. So you could, but that's not very accurate because you have clothing businesses that have different utility needs as a restaurant. So, but on average, it's like 5,000 a year in utility costs to the businesses, but that's a true average.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of raise some of the concerns that I have. For 26-23, I know the wording limit is like extremely hard to try to fit everything into, but I am concerned about leaving out housing services, considering how many residents on the budget survey were raising concerns about housing over and over again, on top of affordability. So that's my other concern, is just having like a 9% tax. While I know that like the actual number breakdown might not seem like that much, I think reading a 75-word description on a ballot, I don't know if that will be conveyed to the extent that would, gather enough people in support of it. So those are my two concerns. Is I think 9% might be too high, and I think that not having housing services as a descriptive part of it could also deter people.
Yeah, I would second. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I would second what was just said about the adding the housing wordage onto the ballot measure. And then another thing I wanted to mention was that I was reading through the resolution, and then it said it uses the word gas instead of methane. And I was wondering, like, I remember Spencer brought that up as a change that could. I was wondering if we could possibly make that change to the official ballot language, because I worry that the word gas could be a little confusing for some people who might think that we're taxing the pump as opposed to the gas that turns on the stove.
Yeah, we can change it. The variable, the one that variables on gas methane does say methane, the 26-23, but the other ones just say gas as in the list. We can easily update it to methane in that list.
Okay.
The other ones where gas is not split out.
Awesome.
a word, not character count.
And then
It's a word count.
Yeah.
And so we have only 75 words, and the variable gas and variable commercial residential is at 75.
Okay.
So you need to cut 2 words to fit in housing services.
And
And then I would also like to, I mean, I can't vote at this meeting, but I would like to endorse the 6% flat option, just because I think that a 9% tax increase sounds a little scary to voters, I think. And I think that most voters don't realize that their gas bill is actually very small. I think that they probably assume that their natural gas bill, even if it says methane, is going to be similar to like the rising prices we see at gas stations. In reality, when it's only like it's a very small percentage of their monthly budget, but I don't think that most voters know that. And so I would be a little hesitant to endorse a 9% increase on that. I think that the 6% flat just seems less scary, but I don't know. That's all just like impressions and speculation. So.
I also am concerned about the word count, and that I feel like we should get as much into the verbiage about what we're going to do for the money as we can. And I think I'm not comfortable with the split between the residential and the commercial. I just think it's confusing. We would have to explain why we're being discriminatory. If indeed commercials are going to send the costs out to their consumers, it almost doesn't make any difference whether they get it in their tax and pass it along, or the consumers take more in their tax so they don't have to pass it along. And then also, I think that the whole concept of using governmental powers to shape policy is really important, but I don't think I see a clear nexus between charging a little bit more for gas and getting gas out of Isla Vista. And I think it's incremental enough. The difference between the person providing the gas utility, the gas appliance, and the person paying for the gas charges is not complete. So I don't know that that translates so well. And I also think that with a tax, it just makes sense to make it as simple as you can. And so for that reason, I think that I'm strongly in favor of just the 6%.
I want to agree with the concern that it's important to have housing services.
Yeah.
And so I think that I certainly see a pathway for us to be able to get under that word count, under sort of the compromise that I'm proposing, where it would be a sort of a 964, to sort of get more towards a flat sort of structure that is still differentiated. And when I think about this, I think about the experience with Measure R. Measure R, the entire campaign that voters really were drawn to was not about the tax though, even though that's what people were voting on. People were voting for representation. We know that that's what people are going to be voting on this time. They're going to be voting on more self-governance. And I think that, at least in my experience running campaigns, I think it's more important that your values forward what your proposal is, rather than trying to triangulate to get as many votes as possible. I think people can smell that and they see through it. So I still favor going with what I think we all know the right thing for our future is. And I think that we can accomplish that while still maybe getting a little bit more of a middle ground when it comes to the rates, and also including the housing services in there.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I wanted to ask a question about housing services. We did discuss that at our retreat, and I thought that the district is limited in what we can do with houses. How would we define house, not for this,
Our
but-
kind of mediation program.
so that would be considered, okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah, I agree that we should have housing services in here. Listening to the voters, they keep saying, housing is really difficult here. So it's important to me that we provide services. I'd like to have that in there. And I also hear concerns and, agree with concerns about maybe having things be a bit too complicated and trying to parse down the word limits. So it can be as straightforward and streamlined as possible. But I also agree with Spencer in having our values forward and making the right decision for our future. So I'd be happy to, float a compromise position and see what we can make with that.
Yeah, I want to say I didn't even think about what Director Topo said about how the commercial could end up just falling back on the residential anyways if they're increasing prices and whatnot to accommodate a higher tax. And I think from my perspective, the value of the tax is to generate more revenue for IVCSD so we can do more for the community. And I think that an environmental agenda should come second to that. I think that there is a lot of importance to pushing out natural gas. I mean, that's definitely like something that I personally really would love to see, but I think as a board member, my interest is going to be in providing a ballot measure that is as descriptive as possible of what we're trying to do, instead of focusing on targeting like specific utilities. So that's going to be my position on this.
What would you think about, yes.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah. What would you think about more of a compromise position? Because I would have to agree to disagree that an environmental agenda would come second. I mean, I do think that we can have our community's environmental values in alignment, not be opposed to the services that we're trying to provide. But I'll also agree that we should make this as straightforward and easy to understand as possible. So are there any, potential compromises you see as maybe the commercial versus residential being more important to have that be the same, or to have the different types of utilities more important to be the same?
Yeah, I think that I like the language of 26-21 and 26-22 more, just in terms of its inclusion of housing services, and also just, it is a little bit of a larger description of what's being provided. And I think that, I don't know, I think all the utilities have their environmental impacts, and natural gas is definitely impacting our environment, but so is electricity and all of that. I mean, all of them are causing wildfires and things like that, so I just don't know if this is the nexus, as Dr. Papa put it, that I see. Like, I don't know if there's really a quick connection there for me.
Okay, so that would be no to a compromise.
I just think that keeping natural gas at 9% is too high, in my opinion. That would be like, I wouldn't want to do that, but yeah, I'm not like opposed to creating some form of compromise.
Okay. So in terms of the, the compromise, would there be a specific one you're looking for more? Because I, again, would have to agree to disagree on, seeing the nexus of environmental issues, because yes, all utilities do have their environmental impacts, but methane gas is the worst. And we also see that locally with how many, our dilapidated infrastructure here, how many like aging, heating and, water heating and appliances, things like that. And when they leak, they're quite dangerous here for our health and also for our local environment. But I agree, bringing that down for a compromise, but I just want to know what avenue would be the best to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think Annabelle had it.
Oh, yes.
I was just wondering, like, how much of a difference we think the gas, like, raising the gas tax is actually going to make. Because I do realize it's, like, a really small percentage of the overall utilities, like, coming in. So, like, is it worth it to raise it, like,
I can
in the
tell you
long
that.
term?
I can tell you that. So if you did a 6% tax on the methane gas, you would raise, let's say 6% on residential. Let's only talk about the residential one. 6% raises 91,000. 9% raises 136,000. So you're talking about $40,000.
Sure.
It's just.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, that is, like, a big difference, but it's just so complicated, the wording, and I feel like we need to figure out a more efficient way for the voter to, like, read that and understand correctly what's actually happening. Because if I saw that, I'd be like, no, this is too complicated. Like, I don't really care enough to, like, be doing all this, which is why I'm more partial to the, like, 6% flat, but I don't really know.
Well, I was just gonna answer your first question, Annabelle, in terms of, or I think what you were getting at, which was that, like, does this make a difference in adoption? And I think there's actually some really great research from UCSD professors, even just about the idea of the spark gap, where it encourages people to adopt more environmentally friendly technology if there are differences in prices between gas and other utilities. And so I think that's kind of what I see as the goal there. I think the study that I don't remember the author is, but I know that they did they looked at this in Europe after a lot of the sort of price spikes that we saw over, the Ukraine war and everything. And I agree with you that simplicity is important. I would remind us all, though, that 90% of all of this language was in Measure R, which the voters approved with 82%. So I think that it is kind of, it's really drawn from that same well, is how I see it.
I just wanted to clarify, so I know that the difference of the revenue that gas would be generating is different, but aren't all three options going to generate around 1.2 million?
They will all generate the same.
So the actual amount going to IVCSD
would be the same for all three options. Yeah. The district will get the same amount no matter what. It's more of a decision of how you want to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, yeah, I guess I just feel like I don't feel like I've seen enough or like, seen enough about that connection between like the tax on gas and pushing electrics. I also feel like living in Ivy, one of the things that many residents recognize is that a lot of property managers are not incentivized to make any improvements, and improvements typically mean your rent is going up even more too. So it's like, I guess I don't really buy into that fully, but, I think that, yeah, I guess if the revenue coming in is the same, I think that's what's important, is focusing on how can we get that 1.2 million coming in to provide better services.
So, and since we're all in agreement on making this wording more streamlined and adding in housing services, Spencer, how is the wording on your kind of compromise position, and like, you know, how much services did you fit in there to get it more
Let me
streamlined?
go and look at the language, if I can find the document, give me a second.
Mhm.
But I know that housing services was in there because that was important.
Yeah.
Well, he looks, can I make a comment?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so I wanted to those that are focused on this differential, I would say I think it's important to be simple. And I think that the Measure R was a different time. People were voting for the creation of a district to provide services. Now people are voting for a tax to enhance services. And I worry a little bit that if the numbers are too large, given just the kind of the national mood and price increases and people's affordability issues, I worry that 9% can be seen as too high. So I just wanted to make that comment. It's important to, we always talk about this, and the budget reflects its values and the kinds of things that we're doing. Everything that we do reflects the district's values. And so I think it's definitely important that we reflect the values of the district in what we do. I also think it's not important necessarily that it be in everything we do. And I wonder if there are other opportunities where we can do something more meaningful to incentivize residents to use less methane in our community than a ballot measure, which is so absolutely essential to the kind of services and the direction that we want the district to go into. So those are the kind of things that I'm grappling with. And then let me just also say that, with all that said, that I am not an elected representative. I sit on this board at the appointment of the chancellor. And so for me, I don't feel like I should be voting on a measure that has to do with taxes place it on the ballot. While I'm personally really supportive of the services that the district offers and really supportive of this personally supportive of the residents having the option to vote, and I'm supportive of making it as simple as possible and straightforward, I'm not going to vote on this. So I just wanted to let everyone know ahead of time that I'll be abstaining as a university representative. I don't think it's appropriate since I'm not an elected person.
Can I just ask you questions? So you mentioned that you thought there might be more meaningful things we could do sort of on the climate emissions front. And since we have the ability to put services in here, do you have an idea for what that might be?
I was thinking that, there are local organizations, some of which you're more or less familiar with, that have services that maybe that the district can contract with to promote more in the community. So that's kind of the thing I was thinking of, maybe just doing more proactive engagement with residents and landlords, and maybe even have some of this funding be for incentivizing different types of utility or different kinds of appliances, that kind of thing. So that's what I was thinking, is creating some type of actual incentive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for, a compromise, both to make it simpler. I mean, we all agree that we need to make this language as straightforward as possible. But I also want to be, mindful of what actually works in incentivizing people to make changes. So I don't know if Spencer, you could bring up the language to see, make it more straightforward, and then also think about if we wanted to provide more incentives as opposed to tax, because, you know, we do know research shows that taxing methane in this way, even if it is a small percent, is pretty effective of, you know, all the things that you can do to change people's behavior, you know, knowing that behavior change is inherently difficult. This type of tax is pretty effective, but that's not to say that other more incentive forward things couldn't be effective, but I'm curious to know what you have in mind.
Yeah, and I just sent it over to Jonathan, so he's got it. But I'm happy to read kind of what it said. I mean, it's almost identical to all the other ones. We're talking about a couple words, right? So increase Isla Vista municipal infrastructure and services to fund local improvements to housing services, transportation, parking, transit, clean and safe public spaces, public safety, and community facilities and events. Shall voters authorize a utility users tax of 9% on residential methane and 6% on residential trash, sewage, water, and electric, and 4% on commercial methane, trash, sewage, water, and electric, authorizing establishment of exemptions, generating approximately 1.2 million additionally annually until repealed by the voters.
This is the same one you sent me
Yes.
the other day.
Okay. Yeah, we can see that next on the other ones. Yeah.
Just wanted to add something, we're talking about incentives, and just like the methane impact and whatnot. One of the things I was thinking of is I know that like there's been like rebates for people purchasing electric vehicles and things like that. I mean, that's something to consider, like we could look into what kinds of legislature there is and how we could incentivize replacing gas stoves and things like that with electric. I mean, when we're talking about taxing residents on methane, almost all residents are not property owners. The people paying the tax on their utility bill can't replace their stove, or, you know what I mean? So I think I don't really know how that's all gonna impact each other, because the property owners increase rent every single year, regardless of if they're making improvements to the houses or not. So it's kind of like, how would taxing residents that don't own their houses incentivize property owners to replace gas services with electric? I don't know. And I think that there's other things that are impacting the climate and IV, and one of those is car ownership. So I would be interested in focusing on public transit. I'd be interested in looking into the rebates that have been offered for electric vehicles and things like that, and seeing if there's an avenue that could be explored in terms of like incentivizing property owners to actually invest in replacing their gas stoves. I think that there are creative ways that we can go about this that don't place a burden on residents in the form of a tax. So.
Spencer, I know your day job is kind of looking into this.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so I think the main thing that I think is important is, I think everyone's experience is different in Isla Vista, but I don't pay my gas bill. My landlord does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just for infrastructure purposes, there's a lot of like reasons why that might be the case. I mean, like, you know, some of these we know like absolutely just get baked into costs, like, you know, trash at this point is required that property owners hold it. Same thing for sewage. Since it's assessed on property tax bills, you know, that's where it goes is into, you know, property owners hold those. And so I do think that you're right that it wouldn't be in all cases. For some residents will, you know, directly hold their bills, but I think everything matters. And I think that it's just really important not to, like, for me, when I think about this, not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I'm definitely interested. I work a lot on rebate programs, and I think there's ones that, in addition to like residents utilizing more, I think we as a district could even utilize more. But I think that it's a start, you know, and there are, you know, I really am compelled by the research that shows that the price differential is a really important thing for getting people to switch over to cleaner technology. And I think that when this is the technology that's causing our fire department to have to go out and respond,
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is an issue that's just beyond even the environment. It's a public safety issue.
Yeah.
Really quick, me and Jamie were talking, if you guys can't decide tonight, you can continue the hearing until Thursday, just letting you know.
Okay, thank you.
we have a
We should
time limit?
make a decision, let's not do that.
Do we have a time limit?
That wouldn't be
No, I'm
fair to
kidding.
the
You
public.
can wait till the 30th to decide.
No, I meant
No.
like tonight, so like a time limit that you want us to end this hearing?
It's your meeting, yeah. No.
Okay, yeah, I mean, in the spirit of moving forward, I guess I'll end with, or I'll start my conclusion, sorry. I'll start with what I kind of will personally put my foot down on, and then what we agree on, which is, you know, I agree with Spencer that these, you know, tax disincentives are very important and influential, and you know how much I've read in, you know, my own day job about what influences things. I would have to support this, but I'm, you know, all in favor of having incentives. You know, I'm curious about, you know, the legality of different rebate programs, because it's one thing to support legislature and tell, you know, the state or the federal legislature to support a rebate program, and then it's a different thing for us to, with our own, you know, policy, to do environmental things with our own policy. And I'm, you know, all in support of having more transportation programs and things to incentivize, and having disincentive on methane doesn't prevent us really from incentivizing other, you know, pro-environmental things. But, you know, it seems like we're, you know, in agreement on streamlining the language and having incentivizing pro-environmental things, so we could move forward in discussion on what those things could look like, unless anyone has any position.
Isn't it enough that we say that it is our intent to have this be included as part of the money that's raised from this tax? We don't need to have specificity.
No, you
do
have,
we, right
the word
now?
transportation is in all of these, that's a new
Right.
power we could activate, because, you know, we've said in the past, like, we need, for greenhouse gas emissions, like when we did it at IVCN, the county says that, you know, 75% of our greenhouse gas is from cars. And so, you know, if we funded the wave or public transit, that could be a way you could use the current tax language to do something that influences GHGs.
Mhm.
So what we're talking about now is a differential between gas and other utilities. And are we also talking about a differential between commercial and residential? Is that
I
what
mean-
your compromise is?
Yeah, the current one I just put on the screen, it's still a triple variable. There's
Three.
one on residential, one on residential methane, and one on commercial.
Yeah, and this one has housing services in there, so that's important.
So it's the,
And yeah, it seems like there's just some ands you could get rid of if you need more words.
Right.
maybe, yeah. I mean, I think you need to also have it be clear, and like sometimes
but
the and is
I
more
think a
required.
comma works.
Oh,
as-
sure,
in place of an and.
sure.
I have a question. Are there other services that didn't make it in this version?
Oh, good question. Let me see.
No, I think this is all of them.
Okay. Ensuring that's all of them.
Just a, you know, yeah, that's all. There's like less description, so like the public spaces and the other options say lighting and sidewalks, which Measure R said lighting and sidewalks, and lighting is like the top issue
right.
we've got in our
Yeah.
survey, so this one doesn't say lighting in it. But it would still be able to use for lighting, clean and safe public spaces, public safety, transportation, infrastructure, like
Could we
lighting
say-
falls under all those things, but Measure R did say the word lighting, and this one doesn't have the word lighting.
Instead of saying clean and safe public spaces, could we say, you know, lighting public spaces instead of saying clean and safe?
Lighting public spaces, then you can't do things like repairing sidewalks and building sidewalks.
right,
Or
right.
maybe you could under transportation, it's all, you know, it's,
Right.
but we also know that people's priority is clean and safe in Isla Vista, like they want
That's true.
clean public spaces, that's a
Yeah,
big
that's
thing. But it is 100% to you, we just wrote this based on what we know.
Mhm.
I had something kind of a little bit on a separate subject, which is, I think all versions have the authorizing establishment of exemptions.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to call attention to that because I think it's really important. So the intention is for this to be in the language and for us to come back with what that exemption regime would look like.
You can do that anytime.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you guys would have to ask for that. So you have to
Yeah.
tell me what to prepare, but you could do an exemption for Measure R right now if you want.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like, we might be at a stalemate for, type of utility, but I would like to know what you guys are thinking more for potentially differentiating between residential and, commercial. I do have what you think on that though, so thank you. But the rest of you, I want to know what you guys think about that. And I also like what you brought up about, exemptions, because you're right, the cost of living is really high if you're putting, a tax burden on, an increased tax burden on, IVCSDs. We can open up, exemption, obviously doesn't have to be decided right now, we can all go home tonight. But, in the future meetings, looking for potential low-income exemptions, or, and I'm saying, a lot of ors potential, nonprofit things, working with the community like that. And I promise in a different meetings, we can all go home and not.
And for me, my thing I'm most interested in is a low income distribution. I think that that's important, that people that are, living under the poverty line, would not have to bear, additional costs.
Yeah, and I think that hopefully the voters will respond well to that. Yes, sorry.
I had a question for the exemptions. Would we be able, I don't know, like how all those things work, would we be able to do an exemption for maybe businesses that are struggling? Like, I mean, I feel like when we're thinking about what we've done at IVCSD, we know that the food co-op has really struggled to keep their doors open. So it's like, if we're doing a tax on commercial that's the same as residential, like, how would we be able to respond to those kinds of things?
You have to have a public policy reason to give an exemption. You can't, I mean, if you can, I think it would be hard to say if you are in an operating deficit, you give an exemption.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you
So
could.
But also it's, you'd need a whole process too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd have to
It
verify
sounds
who gets an
onerous.
exemption.
Yeah.
And that is way more difficult
Okay.
than you originally assumed. Like, there's some
Right, yeah.
simple ways to do it and there's complicated ways to do it.
Mhm.
To do one where you're asking businesses to verify their balance sheets and income statements to get an exemption is gonna cost you maybe more money than
Yeah.
you.
It's gonna cost
But
a
it
lot.
might be, a nonprofit, something like that. Would be something.
Yeah, and I guess that this is something that we will figure out as we talk about it at a future meeting when it's on our agenda and when there's a proposal and everything, but I certainly favor like the strength of the low income exemption is that it's based on a program, a financial assistance program that the utilities already administer.
Yeah.
So you can just tack onto that and then we don't have to be involved in administering it and collecting people's tax returns and stuff like that, and just all the staff time that comes with that. So but that's kind of a whole separate sort of thing.
Isn't Vista pretty much a low income
So I was
community?
gonna say, I thought the majority of residents.
It sounds like
Less than 7% are enrolled in these programs, which is a whole other challenge because there are probably a lot of households that would qualify that don't know about the programs.
What about if we gave an exemption on the gas tax to anybody who traded out their gas appliance for
Could we do that?
electric?
Well, they get an automatic exemption.
Because they don't
Yeah.
have to pay
Yeah, that's
anymore.
like kind of a natural exemption once you, I'm all electric at home. So I don't pay gas.
So maybe you should just like take a straw vote of where people are and what they want to say yes to, and then take it from there, what we can compromise on.
Can we straw vote?
Not really.
Not really, no, yeah.
Okay.
Can't you even
Well,
poll
so
it?
much
Maybe
for
you
that
can
idea.
ask the board what they
We
think.
can have each board member state their position.
Yeah,
Okay. And then can I also like request that we get it for, yeah, we can have that one. I know you're gonna abstain, but.
I've said
you
my
still have a-
piece.
Okay, so you still have opinions, and I know you. Spencer, I think yours was written on. the full
Yeah, I
list,
support
but
the
do you have anything else?
964 is my preference.
I'm not entirely certain. I would lean towards, the 22 or 21 or 22. I'd like to talk a little more about the declining, thing that I'm unclear on, but yeah, I don't like a 9% on that.
Okay. Yeah, I am in support of a, 9-6-4, but I mean, then you don't have to start with the 9, we can do. No, I can't say 8, because then we're gonna be here for another hour, so I won't do that. I'd be in support of that, I've said my piece, but I would be open to hearing more about the residential versus commercial differentiation and be, willing to move on that. I'm not, only one foot's down, not both.
So I'm in favor of a flat amount for both residential and commercial. And also I'm just concerned that we want our campaign or our community's campaign in support of this to focus on services and not focus on math.
Annabelle?
Yeah, I think I agree more with Carrie. I think it should be flat between the businesses and the residential. And like, I think we should go to the businesses and say, like we did with the co-op, and be like, hey, if you can prove that you're struggling and like need a break or something, like not, we can like more look into like what an exemption means, maybe.
Yeah. Do you have opinions on exemptions?
You're not deciding that stuff.
Okay, just kidding. Just kidding, we're not.
Thank God.
Okay,
Yeah, and I know we're not deciding it, but also I do think it's really important that we not create a program that is hard to administer.
Correct.
agree.
We're already busy.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so I have a tally, and I believe this means 4 of something to pass,
We
right?
need 4 votes.
Okay. If Edward makes it to his location, will he be?
He's
No,
not
just
gonna make
kidding.
it to his location. No,
Yeah,
it's
the plans unfortunately changed, and I'm at a different location now. I did make it to where I was going, but it's not what I put on the agenda.
Okay,
So you have 6
Darn.
votes. All the way to choose from.
okay. Well,
You can delay this and
We're also
ask us
gonna-
to come up with another one, maybe, that matches all of you, but if you don't have enough.
What would be the way to, is there a way to further fuse the approaches so that we get down to a common denominator that no one is happy with, but everyone is just okay enough with to support?
yeah,
I think you
Well,
guys need
yeah,
to tell us, like,
we're
what do you
talking
want?
about how we feel about it, and I certainly said how I feel about
Yeah.
it, but I'm not gonna die on that hill. I mean, I absolutely think we should pass it tonight, so.
Yes,
I'm
'cause I'm-
happy to, vote for something that everyone feels is the best way to go.
I agree, because I'm also concerned about maybe attendance for our next meeting.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, we should do this tonight. If 9 sounds scary, we could move down from 9. That's fine. Would you move down from 9?
Yeah, if it was able to get support from everyone, I would be willing to go down to 80.
Yeah, what's our highest, most tolerable scary number? Between 8 and 6, including 8 and 6.
I don't have a particular number that's more scary to me than any other.
Yeah, I would say that I just think that having a flat tax is, I don't know, it's the most simple. I'm definitely not trying to, like, I am open to compromise. I guess I just would like to understand, like, what the purpose is of having this higher tax on methane. I just don't see the connection that you guys are talking about, and that's making it hard for me to buy into that or support that, because I feel like electric is impacting the environment, gas is impacting it, cars are impacting it. I'm not really like buying into the argument behind that, and I think that the most important thing as board members is making a ballot measure that will be the most descriptive and clear to the community when they're going to vote. So I just would like to hear a little more about like why it's so important to have that higher.
Can I ask you a question first? What is the further description of the measure that you think would be important, like that you're looking to include?
I think that the wording of 26-1 and 26-21 and 26-22, sounds more clear to me. I think the inclusion of the housing services as well. And I feel like when I was reading the fourth option, I just think it's too many numbers. I think that residents are not going to understand that. And I feel like having that variable of a tax rate is going to be more complicated than what the focus should be, I guess.
So,
I wanted to note, like, the only one that gets lighting and sidewalks in is currently 21. We could edit the other ones to try to get that in, but
Yeah.
21 is the only one that has lighting and sidewalks.
And I
in
think
it.
that's
But
important.
if that's important to you guys, I'd have to make edits to, I don't even know if I could, but I could try to make edits to add it into others, but we tried to get lighting and sidewalks in.
yeah, and do we have a plan to spend money on that?
Yeah, I mean, the idea we had at the retreat was $7 to $11 million in lighting and sidewalks.
So I think the point that we might, further discussion might not help us see eye to eye on, is this nexus between, the tax differential and that, because, while obviously, yes, no utility usage at all, right, would be the most environmental thing. The impact of electricity on the environment, the impact on methane on the environment, especially considering the local environment with leaks from old infrastructure, is not the same. But I don't know if further discussion would help with that. But in moving the spirit of compromise, you say you're open to compromise. Would it be, is it like there's no, I guess I'm looking for the avenue of compromise. Are you willing to have a differential in numbers that are different numbers, or are you like looking for a path forward? What are you willing to compromise on? What are you not willing to compromise on?
I think that, I think that having lighting and sidewalks and having housing services in a ballot measure is important to me more than having a variable tax rate. So if that's not something that we could achieve with including the language for a variable tax rate, I would be concerned about supporting that, because I think those are three things that have been said over and over again by residents. And it's important to reflect that as something we're focusing on with this new money.
Yeah,
I wanted to clarify, like, the word public spaces could count as that, but it's not gonna be what the residents see when they go to vote. So I wanted to, like, it's not like you couldn't spend it on that, it's just like when the voter goes to see
Right.
what this tax is for, they'll only have this information. Well, the campaigns will do what they do, but when you look at your ballot, you see this
So like the completely,
blank
the
slate.
voter who only reads the words and hears nothing else.
They would only
Yeah.
know this, yeah.
So the housing services in Spencer's, your proposal on the board had housing services in it, so we have that down.
So I think what you said was really helpful, Kyle. So we need to figure out how to get lighting and sidewalks in here. So I think maybe in hearing sort of Carrie's concern about not having different rates between commercial and residential, I would be open to a structure that was sort of and let's say lower than 9%, but let's say 8% methane, and then whatever the percentage would be needed on the rest of the utilities that's flat across all, whether it's commercial or residential. So I don't know if that would be an 8 and 5 or an 8 and 6. I guess we'd have to ask you to do math.
Sorry, you want to do just a gas differential, but then not
just a gas differential, but not a commercial slash residential.
I think I got it already. And you want to raise what 1.2 million? You can do it with 6 and 6.5.
Which 6.5 actually is under resolution.
Here's the thing you guys need to understand. Oh wait, 1 second. Yeah, the commercial is such a small amount of the revenue that variabling the commercial doesn't change the end result of how much money you raise.
Yeah.
Because it's such a small amount of the ratio of, of the current tax of 1.7 million, commercial is only 20% of it.
Mhm.
So changing the commercial rate doesn't change that much. So that's why if you do 6 on commercial and residential, trash, water, electricity, sewage, you can still get to, you can maybe even go down, even, but then it's like if you try to make those 5% and keep the gas higher, you're not going to be able to balance that because the gas is also just a tiny amount of the revenue for both. It's the smallest utility in terms of what it raises. So
Yeah.
you can't pay this lower rates off of the gas, and you can't pay lower residential off of the commercial. It's the residential trash, water, electricity that you need to have to cover the revenue you need. So you could do 6 for all the utilities on commercial and residential, and then you can do 6.5 as a gas differential.
So, I also just want, sorry.
No, just don't.
I would think.
You're doing what I do.
I will
That's right,
say,
we changed roles.
very visually helpful. That's all I'm saying.
So the goal of this also is not just the change in percent, it's to get rid of, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Words.
10 words.
Okay,
So that's how we can get the lighting and sidewalks to be described.
You could delete clean and safe public spaces and just put public spaces including
No,
lighting and
I'm
sidewalks.
going the other
You
direction.
lose.
No,
Oh,
that's.
Going- I'm
the
going the
clean
other
space,
direction.
That's
yeah,
important.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, no,
saying
that's
it's important because the language would now say 9% on methane and 6%, or just X% on methane and X% on residential trash sewage, or not on cross out residential.
Oh, yeah, don't
Because
use the
now
commercial.
we don't have to do the differential between commercial and residential.
Yeah.
So we get a bunch of words back and we
Okay.
can add in lighting and sidewalks.
Okay, I like that. We're taking out, it's like 10 words, we're adding in lighting, sidewalks, housing services, and with these numbers of like 6.5%
Yeah,
and
I'll
6%.
work on something if that's what you guys want. Give me a second.
We're
I'll write
close.
something.
Yeah.
Because this-
Give us one. Give us
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Oh, sorry.
Can I make a comment, please? So I want to just throw a monkey wrench in here.
Okay.
I just want to ask you two if you'd be willing to compromise in the interest of, because I'm hearing flat tax.
Yeah,
Yeah, and simple. That's what I'm hearing from people, simple and flat tax. And I'm wondering if there's a compromise that you all could find, if we could find, that actually does some meaningful incentivizing to property owners to reduce the use of methane appliances. Because when you look at the tax, it's a very small amount that we're talking about, very, very small. Even though there's national studies and IVCSD studies that talks about the price differential impacting behavior, this is a very small amount. And I think we're spending a lot of time working on numbers here and there for a very, very small amount of money. And so what I'm saying is, what about a flat tax and figure out commercial, residential, whatever, but that then have some meaningful incentivizing to property owners to do meaningful change from gas appliances.
so I think, I mean, in direct answer to your question, yes, and getting closer to a, flat tax, the one that, Jonathan's working on right now, we're eliminating the differential between, residential and commercial, so that's getting closer to a flat tax there. When we're getting closer to, 6.5 and 6, getting close to this 26, 22, but then also to your incentive, I mean, I agree, we should 100% put our effort into looking for incentives, but almost like we're going to do that anyways, like nothing is stopping us from doing that. And I don't know how we can bake incentives into this tax language more that, we're going to get it because we have a flat tax on, this, we're not going to do incentives, like we're going to do incentives anyways.
I'm not suggesting you put it in the language. I'm suggesting that it's a policy. I'm suggesting that it's a policy direction of the district, because I worried that as you further bake this down to 6.5 and 6%, you're losing the very intention by which you say is important to you, and that is creating this.
Yeah, well, I don't know why 6.5 is there, because I didn't say 6.5, I said 8.
Okay, I'm sorry, I heard 6.5.
That's just, I made the lowest number differential to
Oh,
meet
got it.
1.2 million with the 6% flat on the other ones. It could be any number on gas. It doesn't change the end result of how much you raise, really.
Yeah.
So you
So
can have one
I
that-
just think by playing with these numbers, what I worry about is you're creating so much confusion as to what this is, this ballot measure is, and when people are confused, you know, I don't know if you're gonna have the desired result, but you know the
Yeah.
electorate very well, so.
I don't know, I think that voters, when they're voting for this, are gonna understand that this is about increasing local government capacity with local resources that can't be taken away by anyone, for us to be able to effectuate our own destiny as a community. And I know that that's what the campaign is gonna about. This is a separate question. And the question is, what is good public policy? And I think that we can talk and chew on at the same time.
Yeah, I mean,
For $40,000.
yeah, and I mean, yes, as a policy, if you're asking, you know, am I in support of having explicit policies to incentivize clean appliances? 100%, yeah. I'd love to incentivize clean appliances.
I was just trying to see if there was any compromise.
I think we've given a lot. I think we've gone down on the rate. I think we've adjusted this. Yeah.
I just think if a 6.5 and a 6 could get us 1.2 million, then what's the point of doing a variable rate? I just think that gas is such a small part of it. And I think that there's other avenues that we could go down that would have just as meaningful of an impact. Like if you guys are really passionate about getting natural gas out of Isla Vista, then like, I don't know, form an ad hoc on that and like start working on something. Like, I feel like there's other ways to do that. And if 6.5 and 6 could do the same thing, then why not just do 6 and keep it simple?
Because I guess my approach is yes, and, you know, we can, you know, chew gum and walk at the same time where, yes, we can have, sure, maybe it's small, but research shows it's meaningful, and double down and have so much effort on incentives. Like, I guess my answer is yes, and we can do both.
Yeah, I'm just skeptical. I know that obviously Measure R was a really great success, but at the end of the day, what we know is that Isla Vista is a transient population. The majority of people that voted on that do not live here anymore. So it is a different group, and we're also living in a different time and a different economy and different, you know, like so many things have changed in that time. So I'm skeptical of overcomplicating this based on a past success, especially considering that Isla Vista residents turn over like every single year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would also I would say that I think that using research and statistics on like examples of behavior changes based on these taxes might not necessarily apply because of what Kyla just mentioned. The transient population of Ivy is very unique. And so I think that existing research, like we shouldn't base our decisions on existing research that probably doesn't focus on communities like Isla Vista.
So what do we make decisions on?
Right, because I'm making my
What do we
decisions
make
on
decisions on?
existing research that I've read in, you know, peer-reviewed journals on a plethora of communities and on our own Measure R. I mean, I know it's different, but what else can we make decisions off of a hypothetical, what we think the community will and will not like?
I mean, I think it's not correlation, it's not causation. Like those are really great studies, but Ivy is unique.
So then what are
It's
you
the
making your decisions
majority.
off of then?
But I also think that the most of the people that are voting are also like first and second time voters who are like pretty broke and like are trying to just like live their life as cheap as possible. And that's like pretty much a fact. Like we know that. So it's not like crazy to think that, okay, we have all these like students who like they're just trying to live cheaply. We should keep it as simple and as low as possible.
And to add to that, I think that my stance on this is based on what I see my responsibility as a board member being, and that's to try to put something on the ballot that I think will be clear to everybody voting on what we're doing, and that will hopefully have the best perception. And I think that 26-21 does that better in the way that it is worded and the clarity of what is happening compared to doing a variable rate. So
I mean, I'm in agreement that I'm making this decision on what I see my responsibility as a board member, and I'm not, proposing 26-23, right? I'm, in support of the new compromise that we brought down 10 words and to a less variable rate, because I honestly do think that this is understandable to the voters and will be, accessible and amenable to them. My position as a board member and the importance I see in bringing natural gas, methane gas out of Isla Vista, both in this way and also in a bunch of other incentivized ways. So, I'm not in support of 26-23, but the compromise that you brought forth, which also has this more of the services language.
So are you guys in support of the 6.56?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm supportive of 8.6.
Was that your 8.6? Yeah.
8.6 is what I had, and I mean, if there are other ideas for adding additional language on the rebates, like Kirsten mentioned, actually into the ballot measure.
Yeah.
I could be persuaded to take an approach that's more along the lines.
What kind of rebates would we be writing in? Like, what do you want me to write? No, I'm not, like, I missed this part. Yeah.
I think it would be, energy infrastructure retrofits or something. I mean, that would be the purpose,
Yeah, okay.
I feel like that's tough because I don't think we have enough information on what kind of money that would require. Like, I think that it's too ambiguous to put it on the ballot as like, and we'll do this when we don't really know, like, if.
Yeah, then I think I've said my piece then.
Yeah, I agree with you in the 8.6.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we adopt the language with the 8.6%. That includes
the motion needs to be for a resolution and then amend that resolution.
Okay, well then I make the motion for the first resolution and amend the language to have the language that you had on the screen.
Yeah.
It's a 8%, 6% split. It includes the language about housing services. It includes the language about lighting and sidewalks.
This is the one I wrote based on what you guys were talking about. It's the same to fund, like the top part is the same as 26-21. And then the bottom part is this new differential of 6 and 8.
What's the difference between 8% and 6.5 money wise?
Almost nothing. I can get it for you right now if you want.
Sure. Yes, please.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it doesn't
Pulling
feel
that
like
back
a big difference. We're only talking about a little bit more revenue raise that helps to create a spark gap.
Yeah.
So the 8% will raise 179,000 in gas tax, and then the 6.5 will raise 146. So it's $33,000 difference, which is 1% of the full budget.
Yeah, and I think that's the scale of a sort of a
What do you want?
rebate program as
Is that what
been
you have?
suggested by some board
The
members. that
language or the
makes sense.
calculator?
Language. Sorry, what was that?
I was just saying, I think that $30,000 is kind of since some board members have suggested rebates, that's kind of maybe an appropriate scale for a program where, it's pretty limited in scope compared to all of the things that we do. But I do think it's important and has a good knock-on effects in terms of our revenue collection.
Mm-hmm.
I think that 8 is probably still a little high.
Then what about 7? Or 7.5?
I would support 7.
What would be the numbers with 7?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers don't change the end result. This is more of a policy decision. Do you want to tax this more or not? It's not going to change how much you raise.
I'm just thinking of how it could be perceived, and I think 8 is a little, it's like 8 is closer to 10, 6 is closer to 5, so that's why I think that 8 might be a little bit high if we're talking about how residents are gonna perceive it or the affordability concerns that they've raised in the budget survey, which is why I would be supportive of 7 as a middle ground.
So 7 would raise 157 in new gas tax, and that's, 6.5 would raise 153, or sorry, 146. So
So you're, can you bring the language back on the screen? I just want to see.
this still says 8, but it's gonna raise the same amount regardless of the number. So you're really choosing to do the differential. You're not choosing on the end number.
Yeah, I mean, if this is what it's gonna take for us to have something that's unanimous, I'm supportive of the 7-6.
I'd be supportive of that too.
And I guess we'll have future discussions about if we're allowed to do rebates and things like that, but that can be a future discussion for board conversation.
Yeah.
And I'll
If it
volunteer
passes.
myself to look into that as well, because I'm definitely interested in what avenues we
Yeah.
have for that.
I mean, I'd love for, you and I and others to be on an ad hoc committee for environmental incentive, not just for appliances, but also for transportation and parking to, incentivize people to walk and bike more and take public transportation. I'd be very happy to do that.
And are we calling it gas or methane?
Method.
Calling it what it is.
It is method.
Okay, so can you change the 8 to a 7, and then I will make that motion that we.
Yeah, we'll put this in the motion as the new language. So let me go to the minutes real quick.
It's in this there is nothing.
Okay, one second. Okay, one second. Okay, here's the language I have. Jamie, tell me if this is good, but it says, motion to approve 26-1 and amend the language for the ballot question to be the following, and authorize me and Jamie to edit it further to effectuate the change, because if you see the bottom half of the resolution, it's the mechanics of how the tax works. So it says like gas tax will be this much and goes into the details of that. So you guys can edit this ballot. We'll send you this.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we can do
The
it,
TV
yeah.
screen. It's 2026, so we'll send you this, but yeah, you'll have to authorize us to make more edits in the bottom body of the length of the resolution, and I can show you that example real quick. Like, for example,
I'm really sorry, I didn't know, even if I was sitting right
Oh,
there,
okay.
I can't see the screen.
like here's this is like really small, but it's in the attachment. You'll see is like the gas user tax here. It says not more than 6% on gas. So we'll have to go down into the resolution and make the edits to this second half to effectuate the gas versus everything else split.
Yeah, this is what you're looking at, 21.
Yeah, that's the one they motioned to pass.
Okay. And then in the findings section, I'll need to carry over
Yeah,
what was in
23.
23.
So you're just authorizing us to make those changes
all of
that
those
follow
changes
the
are-
ballot question.
Friendly with the motion maker.
Yeah.
Can I have a concluding remark?
Yeah.
Before we make motions? Yeah, I definitely appreciate all of the conversation and dialogue about it, and I am not supportive of natural gas, but I think that, I would love to, I don't know, if it needs to be like a separate agenda thing or whatever, but establish some kind of ad hoc looking into, the kinds of environmental solutions we can come up with as IVCSD, because I think it is really important to try to reduce everything that we can here, whether it's car use or the reliance on methane, all of those things. So yeah, definitely wanting to work more on that, just so for this, but yeah.
Plus one.
Yes. A second
I think I might need a seconder for my motion
Oh, yes, I will second you.
He's left it hanging.
I will second Director Brent's motion. Can we get a roll call?
You still have to do discussion and ask for public comment for the motion now.
Okay, for our new motion that we discussed. Do we have further board comments on this new motion?
Would it be helpful to read what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, we can read it, and then we can ask for public comment.
So it's increased Isla Vista municipal infrastructure and services to fund local improvements to housing services, community-based public safety, transportation, parking and public transit, clean and safe public spaces, including lighting and sidewalks, and community facilities and events. Shall voters authorize a utility users tax of 7% on methane and 6% on trash, sewage, water, and electric, authorizing establishment of exemptions generating approximately 1.2 million a year additional annually until repealed by voters.
I think this is really great. I'm so proud of all of us to come to this agreement. I think this is really good. I think it sends an important signal to the community about the values, but it's also simple enough and I think equitable enough that I think people will respond to it.
71, according to Google.
And in case the community wondered whether or not we follow the Brown Act or not, I think that this discussion is very illustrative that we absolutely do. Because
This meeting,
otherwise this would have gone a lot.
That is so
lot
true.
this is
simpler.
the dream of Ralph M. Brown
Yeah.
in what year was it,
Public
1970?
The
deliberation.
messiness is
His dream in 1970? A
Yeah.
whole new ad hoc committee. Yes, do we have public comment? Either in person or on Zoom?
No.
Fantastic. Can we get a roll call vote now, please?
Yes. Director Carmichael.
Yes.
Director Hobart.
Yes.
Director Brandt.
Yes.
Director Plot. Oh, no, sorry. Director Deschler.
Abstain.
Director Sebos.
Yes.
Director Topliff.
Yes.
Just like a little bit funny.
All right.
Fantastic,
You did
Good
it.
job,
everyone.
everyone. Good job, staff.
We did it.
Good job. Everyone.
Everybody
Thank you
did it.
very much.
Was
That
the
was
most
a lot of
exciting
work in a
CSD
little
meeting
amount
ever?
I was
of
thinking
time.
That was pretty exciting. Riveting.
You guys are usually very like in agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Riveting.
It's actually really good.
Levi, I'll text you this.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Item 4.3, Resolution 2625, the 2026 election candidate statement. The board will consider approval of 2625, indicating that candidates, not the district, will pay for 200-word candidate statements.
Just a routine item we need to do every year. So we just need approval of this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I was second.
Fantastic. Do we have any public comment on this item? Yeah. Do we have any board comment on this item?
Only board comment is I feel like, well, actually, we're not supposed to have resolutions on consent, are we? Because I just look at this and I'm like, oh, this could be on consent.
Usually advise not to.
I don't think there's any formal requirement not to. It's just matters of routine business that are typically not.
Okay. Well, let it be known that we will be paying for our 200-word candidacy. We got a second, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Can we get a roll call vote?
Director Carmichael.
Yes.
Hobart.
Yes.
Brandt.
Yes.
Deschler.
Yes.
Sebos.
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Wonderful. That one was fast. Item 4.4, fiscal year 26-27 preliminary budgets. The board will review and consider approval of the preliminary budget for the 26-27 fiscal year.
Okay, so now the budgets, based on the finance committee's direction, we will be presenting a budget in August that contemplates the passage of the tax, which is standard for other government agencies. But what you see today does not contemplate that, because when we prepared it, we didn't know if the board would vote for this or not. So
And it was a cliffhanger.
yes, so we
The most
said,
contentious email.
let's move forward to the board with the budget as is, tax as is, and then in August we'll come back to you with the final budget. So budget summary: 2.3 million revenue, 2.4 million expenses, 100,000 deficit out of reserves. We'll approve the final one August 11th. These are the scenarios the budget committee looked at. I just put this in here just for you to know. We'll come back to this so you can see, but we wanted to see like what is driving the deficit. And it really is us to continue Soultopia would be unsustainable in our budget long term, and the outreach full-time person would also be, cause a smaller deficit, but a deficit. There's really continuing Soultopia that drove the deficit in a lot of ways. So we did still say that we wanted to use that option, the middle one or the second one that had both the outreach full-time position, the parking program, and Soultopia. This is just the scenarios our finance committee looked at. Anyways, that was a sidetrack. We'll go into revenue. So our 26-27 revenue split, it's actually pretty good. The utility tax is now 67%, so it's less of a percentage of our budget than before, which is good to diversify. Parking citations are now in here. We're projecting 120,000 in parking citations. That's just based on the trends we have now. That does not pay for the program. It is a subsidized program. I hope people know that when the public says we're writing these tickets to make money, we are losing money because our goal is health and safety, not to make money. We have a larger sponsorship budget because we're projecting getting the partnership and sponsorship from associated students for Soultopia. So we said we'll put the full budget for that in and the full sponsorship it would need. And yeah, everything else is relatively the same. Our reservation fees, our UCSD contribution, etc. Expenses, community programs becomes, almost $1 million, which is our biggest area of work. It has, our community center, it has Soultopia, it has the health and vending machine. It's our biggest area, our community programs. And public works and parking, they're split. They are technically the same department, but you just see them separate because of how we have to do the accounting for parking is better to keep it separate. Then spending by level, we're 55% salaries, 41% services and supplies, and 3% insurance. Liability insurance, not health insurance, that's part of salaries and benefits. But this is really good. That means we're really flexible in our budget. Most governments are 85% salaries and benefits. So operations, 730,000 essentially, and it goes towards, again, the basic operations you need to keep everything else going. Here's the budget broken down more specifically there. It's a lot of it is staff, but significant amount of admin costs. Community engagement, again, this is the nearly $1 million. Community engagement is a huge expense. Like the actual act of doing community engagement we want to keep our community. It's not just information pushing out, it's getting them to engage with us and coming to events and like our leadership class and all that. But yeah, you can see these are big ticket items all in the community programs area, the community center, the engagement, and the festival. Public works and sustainability, and this includes parking. I added in here so you can see it's a big chunk, but beautification is still the biggest area of work for us in this department. And it's what the public tells us they want the most is clean, or one of the most things. legal advice is becoming a bigger part of the housing budget. It's just being used more, which is good, but it's a pretty even split though between legal and mediation. And then safety, we went down a little bit in safety stations because we know we cannot staff all three all year, so we're not going to budget for that, knowing that it won't happen right away. So it's IV Safe and the IV safety stations. And then our fund balance, what we're using from our reserves, 100,000 from our undesignated and strategic reserves, 80,000 from our parking reserve, 50K is an ongoing operating deficit, 30K is a one-time cost for our consulting to finalize the setup of the program. 50K is coming from the capital reserve for community center improvements. And then 15K is coming from the capital reserve for the Cliff Hall Memorial. This is a big chart. You don't have to look at this. It's in the spreadsheets. But this is the nice line graph that shows you the change in our fund balance over time. We are still meeting our obligations for the most part on our reserves. So even though
For
it's
the most
lower,
part,
for the,
not for the most part, completely.
yeah. So, so you're still meeting the reserve requirements. By far, the state law requirements have been met many times over, and then we have our own accounts that we want to save in for capital and maintenance and facilities and all that. So we have those accounts funded. Yeah, that's the budget summary. What's attached in the agenda is like the full budget, which is what you're actually approving. It's this document. This is, you guys are familiar with this. It's the legally sound thing that we approve at the object level and all that. But this you got the PowerPoint was a summarized version of this of all these numbers. And our finance committee discussed this, 6 or 7 times in the last few months. We went through a fine-tooth comb, went through every expense, like from $500 up to $200,000 expenses. We went through everything. We did a zero-based budget that built the whole budget from scratch once again every year. So we hope, the goal with that is to make sure that we're not spending money on things that are not needed to be spent on anymore, or seeing how much we can save and keep the focus on what we want to get done. And so it was a good exercise again, is to make sure that the budget we're putting forward is the lowest expenses to get the most services.
Yes.
Does everyone want to continue to be on the finance committee?
I actually find it really fun because I like the detail, the fine tooth comb,
Edward
and
doesn't even want
debating
to go
about
to law
chairs.
school because he wants to stay on the.
You laugh.
Someone's gonna need to replace me in the finance committee.
You guys have done really, really, great work. Just, Jonathan, your command of the numbers at all times is so impressive, and just thank you to the finance committee.
I have a lot of fun with it, and I think when we were debating that, Maya had like the mood lighting that we use for the survivor resource station, so it was, or not the station, the retreat. So it was very nice and relaxing. Which I saw that went well on Instagram. So side note, yay. But yeah, does anyone have any comment? Okay. Public comment? Well, we get a motion. We cannot get a motion.
I would move staff recommendation.
I will second the motion for staff recommendation if we can get
Let's just
a.
write out the full motion though, which is to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, approved. It's already in the slide. I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that the staff recommendation is to approve the 26-27 preliminary budget.
Yes, so I will second your motion to approve the staff recommendation for the 26-27 budget. We can get a roll call vote.
Director Carmichael?
Yes.
Hobart?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Cephos?
Yes.
Toplin?
Yes.
Deschler?
Yes.
Wonderful. The ease with which we pass things. Item 4.5 are, did we move this? IVC annual report?
Yes, we're gonna need to delay this to the August meeting.
Okay, that is all right. Moving on to item 4.6, we can get home a little faster for resolution 2626, providing for the collection of the 8% sewage tax. The board will consider resolution of 2626.
Sure.
So annually, we pass this, or this resolution comes before you annually, to approve the 8% for the sanitary sewer services, provided by the Goleta West Sanitary District. So this is.
We have to be prepared to collect it, is what I'm gonna say. So we're trying to work that out. It's really complicated. But I know it can be done because we did it at City College when we had our bond measure. We did this and then it said if it doesn't pass, we undo it. No, it's basically we're having a clash between deadlines. November versus August versus. But this is for the existing Measure R, so we're just gonna make Measure R happen first, and then we'll get the other one.
Okay, so this is
No,
just
no changes. This is just
Usual.
the same standard resolution. Same one.
okay. So normal annual stuff. Wonderful. Do we have?
I was just gonna move to adopt the resolution.
Do we have to take public comment first? Yes. Do we have public
After
comment?
the motion.
We have these.
I'll second the motion.
You want to read it out? Sorry, guys. I got so excited with our first
That's okay.
agenda item. Now I'm
That's
all
okay.
I'm all tired. Alrighty. Just this first part, resolution number 2626, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Isla Vista Community Services District, providing for the collection of the previously approved utility user tax of 8% for sanitary sewer services provided by the Goleta West Sanitary District via direct charge by the Santa Barbara County Auditor Controller via placement on the scheduled tax bill of all parcels in the district serviced by the Goleta West Sanitary District. Do I have to read the entirety of the thing? Wonderful. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Already
We
did.
moved and seconded. Now you're in.
Seeing none, we'll close it and get a roll call vote.
Victor Carmine,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Deschler,
Yes.
Hoplet,
Yes.
Sebos.
Yes.
Okay. We have finished our normal agenda, bringing us to reports. Reports from members of the board. This is where the board will consider approving director attendance at public meetings, public events, and public hearings to earn an official day of service. Would any board members like to present reports? No? Okay. Do we have reports from standing and ad hoc committees? I don't believe we had any meet.
You got your budget. or your
Yes,
finance
you,
committee.
Good
you
job,
saw the report,
Finance
guys. Finance committee met.
We're trying to do a policy committee in August.
Early August.
Yes.
Look out for an email to schedule that first week of
Fantastic.
August, yeah.
Technically, I'm stealing the report. You are the leader of finance committee.
We did it. You did it. It's over.
We did it, guys. Okay. A
I came,
report,
I saw, I conquered.
That's about it.
yeah. We have a report from our district council.
Nothing to report.
Wonderful. GM?
I don't have a lot to report. We, worked on the budget and the tax measures in the last 2 weeks since the board meeting. I can report that the move out sale, our first move out sale, was a massive success.
Wow, okay.
Made $3,000 in sales, which is, less than what it costs to put it on. But the
That's
goal
not
is not to make money. The goal is to save things from going to the waste and give people cheap furniture that they can use in their housing to lower their costs. So we were able to do that. And now there's 3 containers being saved for the move-in sale. So the gift sale was the first year without it, but we were able to manage, but it was a big staffing lift for us to be able to do that. But that's done now. Move out is nearly complete. Other things to keep aware of is I had a good conversation with the county CEO's office today about the cityhood study, just to get more clarity to them of what and where and how, what we're doing here. And yeah, I mean, and Sydney and I are in the throes of finishing the year end accounting and stuff. So that's going to be what we focus on for the next week and a half, is getting our books closed.
Did our request for information ever make it to the administrative agenda?
It's not there yet, so that's part of what the call was, to understand it more
Timing.
before it goes. It does sound like it's going to take to the end of the year to get the data.
Which year?
Yeah, that's a good question. This year.
Like calendar year,
I
not
hope
fiscal year.
Yeah.
calendar year. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's my report.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Guys, we've made it to closed session. Should I do the report out now into closed session?
Oh, sorry, I did have one question for Jonathan.
Sorry, yes.
It's no secret that folks are feeling the mess on the streets nowadays. I know you've been coordinating with the county and Marburg on some changes in service. Do you have any update on that?
I don't.
So is there anything that we can do to let the county know that it's important to have this service?
It's been made known to them that there's worse service this year than other years, from lots of different community members, but we haven't talked about what to do next.
And do we have an idea of why the service is different this year?
No.
I look forward to hearing more from our board of the county.
Yeah, please send our thanks to our team that's done an amazing amount of waste work this time of year.
Yes.
And leading up with the art sale and everything.
Yeah.
Which, for the record, now the city of Santa Barbara does too, because our IPOs.
That was all right.
I love it when we get plagiarized.
I will tell you waste related, I guess, if you're asking, that I got the new waste bins at my apartment. The
Nice.
ones that were part of the new ordinance
Yeah,
we supported, so
I'm seeing some of
they're
them
out.
roll out.
They're starting to come out. They're gray.
Yeah.
And we went from 4 to 2, which saves a lot of space.
Oh, nice, great.
Yeah, I mean, a good time for Team Jenna. I've been seeing a lot of, so I say Team Jenna, when I see people out there power washing the streets, I'm like, oh, there she goes.
Yeah, that
It's
just
not
happened. We did a huge order of power washing.
Nice. Fantastic. Now have we made it to closed session? We did it. Okay. We've made it to closed session where we have one item, our general manager evaluation authorized under California Government Code 54957B1. Happy summer. Good to see you.
How you guys been?
Good.
Good.
Doing good. Are you here all summer?
Don't we need?
Yeah, I'm interning at the Ventura County Star.
Oh, cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
nice.
just started yesterday.
That's fine. What's your
Oh, for the 8%
I'm not
sewage,
doing
sorry,
that.
sorry.
I'm just an intern, so I'm just doing whatever they give me.
super fair?
So far, it's just been
So then how are we gonna get your?
a crime report and talking about some CHP officers who got an award for valor.
Oh,
For this
lovely.
one, yeah, but I haven't.
No, it's interesting stories, but it's like still pretty low level for now.
Yeah, I mean, that's all right.
Oh yeah, no, it's all about the experience more
Oh,
than
for sure.
working in a professional newsroom.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now,
And you get to hang out.
So I was working on it right
We're
now.
summarizing
It's
it.
so
Exactly.
amazing.
and my
Yeah.
place this year is so much
You
better
guys can
than
finish
last
it
year.
now.
I haven't heard of myself.
That was-
Oh, good.
Lovely.
Congrats.
Yeah.
So much,
I'm just
such an
going
upgrade.
That's
what I'm.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to see it. Good to
Yep.
get summer coverage. Good evening.
That's,
The light's still on.
Cause it was.
I know.
the-
We're
Oh,
not in closed session
the
yet. You
ballot
haven't read it out.
yeah, we
Oh,
did.
we did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, I think someone's hallucinating. There's a good chance.